Good morning, guys. Mitch back with you. Another Mitch's Morning Musing. Are you free to fail? Are you free to fail? That's my topic this morning. Fear of failure is a problem I know that I have dealt with in my journey. I think personally that it's the number one fear of us men in particular. I'm sure ladies deal with it as well. So, are you free to fail? For most of my life, I was not. I had a mantra for years. I've never been good at anything but messing up, but I'm really good at it. That was my identity. I saw myself as a failure. I knew that I was going to fail. That often prevented me from trying anything because I didn't want to fail. I didn't want to feel the way I felt when I couldn't accomplish something. So I struggled with this. I was definitely not free to fail. So, are you free to fail? I found this quote by John Wooden. Don't permit fear of failure to prevent effort. We are all imperfect and will fail on occasions. But fear of failure is the greatest failure of all. Don't permit fear of failure to prevent effort. We are all imperfect and will fail on occasion, but fear of failure is the greatest failure of all. John Wooden reminded me of James 1, verse 2 through 4. The New American Standard says, "Consider it all joy, my brothers and sisters, when you encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance, and let endurance have its perfect result, so that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing." Fear of failure, I think, does prevent many of our efforts. We already in our mind are convinced that we're going to fail, and we would rather not risk it than feel what we feel when we do fail. But I've developed this quote. I'm not sure if it's original to Mitch or not, but I use it. There is no such thing as a failure if you learn from it. And guys, I really believe we have to shift this mindset. You know, it comes with a realization that my Father loves me. I got to start there. I am loved, I am accepted, I am wanted, I belong to my Father, to my Daddy. That reality shifts so much in my mindset, in my perspective. The fear of failure was really rooted in the fact that I felt like because I could not meet a certain level of expectation that I would never be acceptable. And coming to realize that, you know what, I'm accepted, period, has given me the freedom to fail, the freedom to risk, the freedom to go for it, knowing that if I do fail, there's really no such thing as a failure if I learn from it. And I really believe that's what James is telling us here. Consider it all joy when you fall into these diverse temptations, King James, when you encounter various trials, knowing this, that the testing of your faith produces endurance. That endurance is grit, stick-to-itiveness. Just keep going and let it have its perfect result, that you may be perfect, mature, complete, lacking nothing. You know, the reality is, man, we will always have a tendency to fail, especially when we start something. If we've never done it before, the chances are high that we're not going to do a very good job at it. But we can't let the fear of failure prevent the effort to give it a shot. I'm convinced, man, if I'd have got a hold of this earlier in my life, I was probably almost 40 when I got a hold of these truths. Had I got this at 20, who knows where I would be today. But I'm telling you, for men in particular, I think this fear of failure, fear of looking or feeling like we are incompetent, limits us and holds us back, prevents us from being able to take the risk to grow. I'd rather just stay where I'm at than risk the fear of feeling what I feel when I fail. That is a limiting mindset that we've got to deal with. So I just wanted to throw this thought at you this morning. Do you even believe it's possible to be free to fail? Realizing that there is no such thing as a failure if you learn from it. And there's some valuable lessons that I have learned through failure. When I fail, it gives me an opportunity to back up, look at that, have conversation with my Father, learn something so that I'm better equipped to deal with whatever that situation is the next time. So I know, man, I get a lot of texts and calls from people who says, man, I blew it. I'm like, all right, hold on. Remember, what do I always say? There's no such thing as a failure if you learn from it. So don't let guilt, shame, and condemnation come in. Back up. Have a conversation with your Father. What happened? What transpired? What ways of thinking were you engaging with that led you into that failure? Learn something. Man, if you can learn from the failure and be able to be better equipped next time, that is invaluable. That's not a failure at all. That's a valuable lesson that's going to help you move forward in this journey of walking with our Father. Transformation, change is not easy, and it takes time. There's a process and a progress to it. So if we're afraid of failing, man, we're never going to move forward. So we've got to learn to be free to fail. My daddy's not upset with me when I fail. He wants to teach me. He wants to help me learn, knowing this, that the testing of your faith produces endurance. Let that endurance have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. That's what we're after. So if I'm able to this morning, I'd love to just release you from this fear of failure and give you permission. You're free to fail. Go for it. See what happens when you take off the limitation of this fear. Again, John Wooten says, don't permit fear of failure to prevent effort. We're all imperfect and we will fail on occasion, but fear of failure is the greatest failure of all. Thank you guys for joining me today. We love you. We'll see you again tomorrow. So remember, if you get value from this, do me a favor, share it. Let the world know what's going on. That helps me. Hopefully will help them as well. Bless you guys. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.